people, a bit of a different location today. My garage is currently not only being renovated, but the main lights I use have died this week, so I have to change things up a bit in there. So to accommodate, I thought I'd do a video that's been requested several times by several people, which is to explore my mineral collection. Now, I use some of these materials in my videos as just like resources, so things like sulfur or carbon I've pulled from here. And so I thought I'd go over some of the more specific materials that I have in detail. So I've been collecting for a couple of years now, and I've been collecting on and off. So I started when I just entered grad school, when I bought this display case, and yeah, it makes a good gift for me, you know. And I really enjoy the story of each mineral as well as its chemical composition, and yeah, I like teaching about them too. So without further ado, let's do another video where I don't put my life at risk, except for one mineral that I have to wash my hands after I touch. So let's get into it. So this is the overall setup. I keep the main display case on a table, which I hold on a landing in my house. I purchased this case probably about 2 years ago or so. 3 layers, I'm really happy with it. I also installed this LED strip in here, which I keep on a timer. So I have it turn on in the mornings and evenings when I'll be using the landing the most. I really like that system. It keeps me entertained when I leave and enter my house every day. And I have some of the larger items on the right here, which don't exactly fit in the case very well, or they're a little bit, they're less shiny, I guess. And then I have extras down here, which is like the D list of the mineral collection. So let's start with our top tier materials. These are the smallest minerals I have in my collection, and some of them, it's a mixture of the oldest ones I have and some of the more newest ones I have. Usually my favorites go up here too. The first I'll talk about is my amber here, and if you've ever seen Jurassic Park, you're probably aware of what this is. This is basically fossilized tree sap. That is, who knows how old this specific piece is. I think I bought this from an online store, but a cool thing about this is, if you look, there's actually what's called inclusions, or there's actually small insects that are in this piece of amber here. So that's super cool. This is probably mostly, to my knowledge, amber, since it is tree sap, I think it's mostly hydrocarbons. Pretty cool. This piece of coal is specifically from Hazleton, Massachusetts. Oh, sorry, Hazleton, Pennsylvania. I asked the seller for all the localities of these minerals just for my own personal sake. So for my entire collection, I like to keep track of where they all come from. So if you're from Pennsylvania, thanks. So this next piece is Aragonite, which is calcium carbonate, or CaCO3. This is actually the mineral that is produced by mollusks to make pearls. I don't have a locality for this one because I bought it from actually like this crystal healing shop, which I'm not a big subscriber of that. If you are, that's cool. I do like to look through them just for sourcing cool minerals sometimes. And so I found this and I just thought it was kind of pretty. And I don't have Aragonite. I think I do have other sources. There are other minerals of calcium carbonate, but this one has a specific crystal structure, which gives it its luster and name. Another one without a locality. This one was given to me by my mother as a gift that she got at a mineral, like a shop at a fairgrounds actually. But this, if you haven't guessed it already, is copper in its raw form, and I think it's just really cool. It has a lot of detail on the surface. and it's just waiting to be smelted down, but I'll never do that. I love it. I love it. There's so much detail in this little piece of copper. I just wish I knew where it came from, because I'm gonna guess South America, but I completely made that up. But maybe that's my headcanon. Another throwback to my flash powder video. This is my chunk of sulfur. It always makes my hands smell for a while after I handle it. But since I'm in the lab quite a bit anyways, then I'm kind of used to the smell of sulfur. In fact, I think it kind of smells good. The information I have on its locality is it's actually from the Gulf of Mexico coast, and that's all I have. So I don't know if it's like from an underwater source. Yeah, not sure. Like I said in my video, sulfur generally will exist in like these cyclic molecules, so like S8. I do believe it can do like S7 and S6 as well. But yeah, so I think in the future, I'll probably try to not use this mineral as much for my source of sulfur. This next one is what's called citrine. It makes the cut on the top level just because of not only its size, but this also was the only mineral I have that was in possession of my now wife, and she willingly donated it to my collection. So citrine is effectively just quartz with a little bit of iron impurities, which will give it kind of like that yellowish color. I guess it's been made in jewelry for centuries, but yeah, I think it's kind of a pretty pale yellow. This next one is quite a character. So this is one I actually also purchased with like a whole like teaching set of minerals. There was like 30 of them. This is halite. If you don't know what that is, it's actually just sodium chloride or table salt, but the mineral form of it. It used to be a lot less rough looking, and that's because I live in a place where there's a lot of humidity. And so there was a time period where I was gone from my house, and the AC was turned off and the heat had turned up, and this had actually started to melt onto the surface of the glass. And so yeah, this is what's left of it, but you can taste it, and it tastes salty, which I usually don't recommend, but I still think I like the story behind this. I think it's just a pretty piece still. This specific piece of halite is from Ontario, Canada, in a place called Windsor, so thank you, Windsor. This one should be pretty familiar to people who watch a lot of science videos. This is the crystallized version of the metal bismuth, so it's not actually found in this form in nature. People usually will just crystallize it in like a pot or pan. This one I also got from like this crystal healing shop. I don't know what the proposed healing property of bismuth are, but I appreciated them having it, and so I purchased it from them. I think it's so cool, these crystalline patterns. This next one is called Chalcedony. I used to think it was Chalcedony, but it's Chalcedony. It's kind of like a waxy type form of quartz. So this is a silicon dioxide. Of course, the actual crystal structure is a lot more complicated than that. Something I didn't know is if you've ever heard of an agate, then an agate is actually a form of chalcedony. But I think this is just really cool. It almost to me looks like the mineral itself is sweating. I forget exactly where I bought this from. I do believe this mineral itself is from somewhere in France, but it's just really pretty. I could get lost in that blue color. This next one actually came with this stand and this little sticker, which I haven't removed. But this is called Sphalerite, from the Greek word sphaleros, which I guess means deceiving because it was really hard to identify. Sphalerite here is the main source of zinc in mining. So this is zinc sulfide. And I just think like, oh man, those edges with those dark edges are just like super weird. I love how they all kind of come together like that. yeah, so I bought this from an online store. I don't know exactly where it's from. I think there's also a little bit of a mineral called Citrine that's imposed on here. And I believe, so when I purchased it, I was told that it was from a region called Kosovo, which I'm learning is in Serbia. So this is from the city of Mitrovica in Kosovo, and in Mitrovica, I have the actual mine that this was found at, which is Trepkastan Terg mine. Here, I have my identification here. Pretty cool, huh? So this next one should be pretty familiar to a lot of people. This is Pyrite or fool's gold, also known as iron sulfide. These specimens are from Peru, actually. I don't know where beyond that, but I just love, obviously their shininess and just kind of how it's like a ball of just a bunch of different crystals that are in there. My first pyrite piece is not one of these. My first pyrite piece I got when I was maybe 8 years old in Alaska, actually, but I accidentally left it at a really fancy restaurant, and so I always wonder if the waitress thought it was like my tip to her or not. I don't know. So now we'll move down to the second row. These are still some of my favorites. They're just a bit bigger, and so I think I can fit less of them on here. Some of them are worth more than others too. This next piece is called Fluorite, which is where the word fluorescence actually comes from. This is calcium fluoride. Basically, if you shine UV light on this, then it will fluoresce kind of a blue color. And unfortunately, I don't have a UV light that I'm aware of right now, so I haven't been able to actually test that out on this specimen exactly. But this is from China. I don't know beyond that where it's from. I think this was a gift. This next piece I'm somewhat unsure about. I think it's probably amethyst. So amethyst is basically quartz with some usually I think iron inclusions in there that give it its color. But I think people sometimes can fake amethyst by superheating quartz. That could be completely wrong. But I was told this was amethyst, and it looks like it, but I'm still unsure. It's just too pretty not to put on the display. It's very much glassy and see-through, which I like quite a bit. This next one I'm not entirely sure about either. I have a hunch that maybe it's a form of fluorite. On the bottom of this mineral there are several pieces where there's some quartz showing up, but this purple region in the middle has a lot of detail, and I always wonder kind of what that is. So that's something that I would also need a UV light to test and see if this fluoresces or not. This next piece is very pretty. So this is my main piece of quartz here. Not only is it very much see-through, I love that. It's big. It also on the other end has some carbon inclusion, so I don't know what this is exactly, but it's hydrocarbons, so things like oils or maybe even organic matter is just kind of infused into this, and I think that's always just so very cool. As always, of course, the quartz is a silicon dioxide. You can actually kind of see some refracting of light down here if I move it. That's really cool. And yeah, to me, it's not about having a super clean or clear piece of quartz. It's something that tells a story, and I think this one does just that. Really cool. This next piece, I believe, may be my most expensive mineral. This was given to me as a gift by my now wife. This is Richterite. This is from Värmland, Sweden, specifically Långban Philipsstrand farmland, Sweden. And this has some meaning to me just because I am Swedish. My family is from around the Värmland area, so it was really cool to have a mineral that's actually from that locality. And if you're interested, the Richterite is, I believe, this small crystalline region here near my thumb. But Richterite, what it is, it's like a sodium, calcium, magnesium, silicate mineral involving all of these that forms a variety of like different colors. So like blue or green or gray or brown. And in this case, it's kind of more of a gray color. So really cool. This is another unknown in my collection. I believe this was given to me as a gift, but the person didn't know what kind of mineral it was. I'm gonna guess calcite or quartz, one of those two. Those are both pretty common, so it's likely one of those. I love how it looks though. It's just kind of a very flaky type of a surface here. And that means it's also pretty fragile. I have lost a couple of the pieces that make this up over time, but I'll continue to display it even though I don't know exactly what it is. Okay, this next one is pretty cool. This is malachite, and that's that green, the small little green crystals on the inside there. And malachite is basically like a copper carbonate hydroxide mineral. So that's what kind of gives it this green color, since it is like an oxidation state of copper. This one specifically is from, well, the address I have is pretty specific. It's the Mesopotamia 504 farm, Mesopotamia Copper Valley, Corexus Cunene region in Namibia, which is of course in Africa. So it's traveled quite a bit to make it to my mineral collection, and I couldn't be happier to have it in there. And I think there's this white part at the round it is quartz, to my knowledge, but just super cool. I got this from an online store. This one has some meaning to me because I found this myself in Garibaldi, Oregon, when I was maybe 12 years old or so. And we were doing this llama camping trip where we would use llamas as pack animals to carry our equipment to the beach. So things like water or tents or whatever. And there's a beach there called Agate Beach, and I found this. And I'm super happy with it, and I've always kept it with me. Now this one is not necessarily a mineral. This is actually from the top shelf. I just kind of missed it. This is a rock called Scoria. I also obtained this one. This is from the top of the world's tallest mountain, not the world's highest mountain like Everest, but the world's tallest mountain, which is Mauna Kea in Hawaii. And I was up there near the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope. And I got this at the summit. It's just kind of this very like porous type of rock. Yeah, I got this in 2012, and I'm pretty happy about it. There is a little bit of white in there, which is not natural. When I was in middle or high school, I put this in my backpack for some reason, and I think I had some deodorant in there that kind of has always been stuck, and I haven't been able to wash that out. This next one is a blue apatite, which is a phosphate mineral, meaning that it's like a salt of phosphates and calcium, and usually things like fluorine or chlorine or hydroxyls. This was also a gift. It was purchased at like a mineral shop, like at a fairgrounds as well. But I just love how deep that kind of blue color is. And it's all kind of like that, all surfaces, which is really cool. And this last mineral on the second level is Pyrrhotite, which kind of sounds similar to pyrite, and I think that's for good reason, because this is also iron sulfide, but unlike pyrite, which is a stoichiometric balance of iron and sulfur, This one is non-stoichiometric, so there's either more or less iron to sulfur, which is pretty interesting. This one is also from Serbia, the Kosovo region, I guess. I'm a big customer there. Big customer. I really like the layers on this one, kind of how they're all sandwiched together like that. And I love the luster of this too. It's just like nice and shiny, just really pretty, while still pretty dark. And now we'll move on to the bottom level here. These are the largest that I have actually stored in my collection. These are just generally, in my opinion, too heavy to put on the glass for now. Perhaps someday some of these might be moved to another display case, but for now they'll sit on the manufactured wood here at the bottom. This first one is, I think, pretty well known with people who collect minerals, but it's what's called Selenite, because it's kind of in like this this wand shape. I feel like, I don't know, Ron Weasley or something, right? But anyway, unlike the name might suggest, it doesn't have any selenium in it. It's rather a calcium sulfate, and I really like this. It's very long, very white, and I have some smaller pieces too that have fractured off, but this is also a gift. I don't have a locality for it, but just very cool in general. This next piece, we're looking at this large just rock right here, but it's rather this small piece right here and some over here. This is Baryte. So this is barium sulfate. I believe this is one of the main sources of barium in mining, but I love barium. I love how, I don't know, how sweaty it looks. I think it's described as like usually waxy or something, but I prefer sweaty because it makes me feel kind of gross. But I've also made an Instagram post about this mineral. To me, and to some of the people who commented, it kind of reminds me of like pulled pork almost. Just kind of gross, and I love it. I love it. This piece is from France. This is the identification I have for it. I guess the Rigoux hot region in France. I'm not really sure what this word is, but if you're aware of what that is, then let me know. But super cool. I got this from an online store. Really happy with it. So this is Obsidian. So this is like, again, a silicon-based crystal structure. Of course, it's very dark. This one I also obtained myself in Oregon from a lava bed, or at least what used to be one. I think this one's really cool just because there's parts of it, if you look at it, it's actually slightly transparent, and you can see kind of into the rock, which is, it could be a deep rock, so kind of cool. I also have some other obsidian pieces here. This one is not one that I've found, but it has a little flecks of white on here, and that's quartz coming through. So this is called snowflake obsidian, just because of that name. And I got this one from an online store, but still, I love pairing them together because they both kind of tell their own story. Now these bad boys are a bunch of these spherical balls that are kind of all clustered together. These are also gypsum or selenite, and this is also known as the desert rose. I guess just because this usually forms in very arid kind of conditions, but I really like these. You almost want to like grab one and twist it off and throw it at somebody, but this was a gift, so I don't know the actual locality of it, but it's it's big, right? And it's super cool, really pretty. So this piece here is Kyanite. This is actually from Brazil. Beyond that, I don't have any specific towns that it's from, but as you can see, it's a very pretty blue. This will also fluoresce red if under UV light. But what kyanite is this aluminum silicon oxide type mineral that's usually found around quartz deposits, I guess. But this was given to me as a gift, and I really like it. It's fits right into like the palm of your hand, but it's got some really cool things going on with its crystal structures around here. They kind of all just go their own little merry way, and I like looking at it. It's a piece of art, really. Now these next two pieces I'm going to have to wash my hands after I handle them, because these are known as Galena. So this is lead sulfide. So this is the main source of lead in the mining industry. And so, you know, obviously if you eat with lead on your fingers, then that's definitely possibly going to poison you. But this is from Morocco, this piece specifically. It was also a gift from my mother. But I just love how it's just kind of this little inclusion on a rock that someone might find. You may recall that lead at some point was used as a writing utensil, and I think that's also pretty fitting because the top of this kind of reminds me like the top of a pencil or something, but just really pretty. These also like have some kind of fracturing going on, which is, I mean, who knows how long ago that happened, because they're still like stuck like that. Just really cool. Yeah. And these to the right of the mineral did not actually make the display case, not only because I think they're a little bit less pretty to look at, but they're also like, you know, pretty big. Ugh. Like this is easily probably the size of a softball. But what all these are all the same type of mineral. These are all known as Thundereggs. So what that is basically a rock that might look like this. I don't see any minerals on here, but when you cut them in half, then they have Chalcedony cores on the inside. So super cool. Some of them need to be polished more than others, and I've obtained these from my relatives and friends that are in Oregon. And I love looking at them. Some of them are more hollow on the inside than others, but it's been fun collecting these ones as well, because they come in all different shapes and sizes, and yeah, I hope to get more at some point. And last but not least, we have all of the rejects who did not make the cut into either the display case or on the table next to it. And we have quite a bit here. So this box is from that kit of like 40 minerals that I bought when I first started my collection. I just wanted, this is before I really had a whole bunch, and so I needed something to put into my display case once I had purchased it. So I just got a bunch at a time. It's like a teaching kit, and I also asked for all of the localities of each of the minerals, just so I have that in my personal, I guess, knowledge. But yeah, there's quite a variety here. Some of them are up there, so those like Galena and Halite and Sulfur and Anthracite Coal have all made it into the cut. But some of these are, I think, less interesting. I mean, this one does deserve to be in it, but this is a piece of fluorite here, which is calcium fluoride. I do have a larger piece in my collection, so I didn't feel like I needed to have both of them up there. But other things like, okay, this one right here, I don't really know what this is. Its label says 36, which if I go to this sheet, that will tell me that this is gneiss, which I'm not really familiar with. I think that's just like a rock, not a mineral. But I can tell based on this that gneiss is from Uxbridge, Massachusetts. So, kind of cool still. I don't know if I'll ever need that, but I like to have it. I do have some more ones that I do know what they are. So like this is another form of coal. This is bituminous coal, just like a lower grade. I have, this is, oh, not that one. This is magnetite, which is an iron-based mineral, very shiny on some edges here, so pretty. So yeah, I have more citrine from my wife. I think that just about covers it. Oh, don't know what that is. Yeah. Oh, this should be in it. This is actually something called Trinitite. And I don't know why this is not in the display case, because it should be. This, I don't exactly know the chemical composition, but this is the what was left behind when they tested the nuclear bombs in New Mexico. This is the glass that was left behind. So this is slightly radioactive. The reason I have this is because my grandfather was there at those tests. So he obtained this piece and several others, and so this actually has quite a bit of meaning to me. It's smooth on one side, and then on the other side it's just kind of like bubbly and stuff. I think that's super cool. Now, towards the end here I have just bags of unknown minerals as well. These are probably mostly agates actually, because, well, we used to go to that beach quite a bit, but these are not all the prettiest in my opinion, and so none of them have really made the cut to make it in a display case. There's another bag here with other minerals. There's some obsidian that's in here. I also have some non-minerals. These are some ceramic dyes that I made when I was in college. But pretty cool. And lastly, I have a non-mineral. This is just an element. So my parents were renovating their house, which was built in probably the 70s or so, and they found these in the thermostat. And what this is it's mercury. And so I've been meaning to break these little like ampules of mercury and use them in an experiment sometime. And if you have ideas for that, for an experiment, let me know in the comments below. But I think these are super cool as they are. So I guess as you rotate them, then this mercury will move around in response to, of course, gravity, and then that will conduct electricity to like complete the circuit, perhaps, and tell the device what to do, or rather which temperature to use. So this is on my to-do list. So thank you everyone for checking out today's video. I always try to grow my my inventory here, so I'll try to keep it updated as to if I gain anything that's like super interesting, or as I use materials that are actually from the mineral collection. I'll probably always reference this video here. This is a good point of reference for me. Let me know your favorite of my collection, and tell me if there's anything that I have to have in my mineral collection that I don't already have. I'm always interested to hear people's opinions or what else they have in their collection, and send me those pictures. You can find me on Instagram. The link is in my description. So with that, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.